Brian Reynolds back with another video, and this video will be a little different than most videos because I will not be doing anything to the bike. I will not be doing anything to the go-kart or any of the other contraptions I have going. What I actually have to do today is a repair on the Audi. Usually, of course, I'm doing something fun like adding exhaust things or doing whatever, but unfortunately my 198,000 mile Audi has sprung a coolant leak and has an overboost, underboost, check engine light, running too lean, running too rich. Could have something to do with the massive amounts of oil the engine itself leaks, but the actual problem I suspect today is a bad turbocharger. I hope that's the only problem, but I'll replace the turbocharger and then we'll see, because as you see, I did fill up the coolant. I put it to the min line just as reference, so I did lose a little bit over the last 2 days, but obviously not that much. So I'm hoping that it's just leaking out of the coolant lines, so we'll see. And as you see on this side of things, I've already taken off the airbox and all this snorkel and everything, because as you can see, this is all coolant that's been splashing up. I wiped off everything, trying to just see where the source is. But at like between 10 and 2 o'clock today, a new turbo will be coming in. So the plan is to, of course, get this one out. So yeah. All right, so of course I've taken all this apart, but I did that to diagnose. So what I actually need to do first is we will need to drain the oil and the coolant. I already took out the under trace. We're gonna get under there. I'm gonna grab all the tools, grab all my drain pans, and meet you under the car. All right, so I got my 8mm whatever, and I will be taking out the drain plug, drain the oil. I just did an oil change about a week ago, so I'm gonna be cheap and try to reuse the oil. We'll see how it goes. I'm just gonna catch it all, save it, and then hopefully when the turbo is back in, I'll just refill the oil. So I'm just gonna go ahead and drain the oil. I'm assuming everyone kind of knows how that goes. I'll check back in when it's time to drain the coolant. Finally have the coolant draining. I actually ended up having some AN lines. Not sure how well you'll be able to see, but I slid it over a nipple that's over on that little plunger, and you pull down on the plunger and it allows you to drain the coolant. It's not ideal, but it works. One thing that I thought was kind of funny on my car is, if you notice, well, the light bar is kind of in the way, but I don't think that's supposed to be like that. My intake leak might be due to a slight bent intercooler, but you know, that's for another day. Of course, we got the coolant draining. Once the coolant is completely drained, I can finally get to wrenching on the turbo. I'm probably gonna take all like the lines and accessories off first, and then worry about taking off the heat shield and then the manifold itself. I may have to go down there, way down there. Not sure how good you can see that, but I might have to take off those bolts just to get the high flow cat off. We'll see how I can get to these bolts, and if I can move this enough, I may be good, because the studs are on the turbo, so I do have to slide the exhaust back. I mean, that's almost an inch and a half, so time will tell. Of course, coolant is probably almost done, so once that's finished, we'll check back in. All right, so Coolant's drained. We're back up top. First thing I'm gonna have to do is take off all the spark plugs, solenoids, because I have to take off this breather hose, which honestly I may not need to do that. I may just be able to, depends on how flexible this hose is, I may just be able to undo these two and then just move this breather hose out the way, and then I don't have to worry about taking all that off. It just, the main thing is, if this doesn't move out the way, it'll be very hard to get the turbo out and get this heat shield off. But yeah, I'm gonna grab a couple of tools and we should be good to go. I have to hit record, but what I did is I took this swivel head on my little electric ratchet in a T30 to get these, kind of hard to see, to get these bolts right here. Of course these are just used a T30, I'm sure it's an Allen, but there's another one right here. Went ahead and used a swivel on this one because it was hard to get to, and as you can see, this does kind of move, which is nice. So what I'm gonna do now is undo these screws. I really should be wearing some gloves, but who cares? Don't want to drop that, so I'm gonna go ahead. I can't really get my finger on that. That's fine. Nice. Don't drop it. So this breather, as you can see, kind of does move, which is nice. I'll kind of swing it over here just so I can replace these, because one rule I try to stick to is if you take a bolt out and you remove the item, whatever you have that you unbolted, just put the bolts back where they came from. It makes life so much easier. It looks like that is going to be a big Torx. Let me see if I have one of those and I'll be right back. The heat shield bolts, it's supposed to be a 6mm Allen, but I don't have a 6mm Allen, so I found this T40 that seems to fit on the bolts. Let me unclip this GoPro. So one bolt is right, let me put the tool down, right here. As you can see, there's one there. You can kind of see that one there, and then there's one tucked back in there. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and try to get those off to get the heat shield out of the way, and then you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and I believe one more on that back corner, and we'll be able to get to the turbo manifold bolts. Once I have that undone, I'll worry about the downpipe. Do yourself some favors, put some WD-40 on those before you even start doing anything, just to help that soak in. I'm probably going to apply a little more because those bolts go through a lot of heat cycles, so they're going to be not too fun to take off. But yeah, I'm going to work on trying to get all those loose. Once I get them loose, I'll show how to get the heat shield out. Okay, so I've already taken out that one bolt right there, that one bolt up there, and then I just cracked loose this third one here. This one's kind of hard to get to. You can't really get extension or a wobble on that unless it's like an integrated tool, and I don't have that. So I just took this Allen, put it in there, and then I used a wrench, just put it on there, and just of course push down on it, got it to pop loose. As you can see, the heat shield is loose, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this bolt out. Once I get this bolt out, I'll be able to remove the heat shield and you'll be able to see the manifold bolts. That's bolt out, which means we can just go ahead and remove the heat shield. And of course, you love the amount of oil. 200,000 mile Audi, never done any valves, anything, nothing. It's just been oil changes and the water pumps. So, and I think an alternator. So, you know, it's been pretty good to me for 200,000 miles. So, all right, let's keep cracking. I am going to spray some WD-40 on those bolts, the manifold bolts, and I'm going to shift to moving to taking off some of these hoses. just so when I do get these loose, I can just pull out the turbo. All right, so the next step is to remove the cat. I may take off the O2 sensor, may not, we'll see. But there's a bolt here, a bolt down here, a bolt right, I don't know if you can see with the glare, a bolt right here, and then the last one is kind of tucked on the bottom side of the turbo. The best way to get to it is you go down through here and you take your socket and you just kind of feel with your hand onto that bolt, and then you take an extension and you run it to the right side of the cat, and you're gonna kind of be up against like the firewall, like kind of up in this area, your hands, and you'll be able to get to that bolt and get it undone. I'll try to film that, we'll see how it goes. I'm just gonna try to crack these loose right now, and once I crack it loose, I'll do that one last so I can show you exactly how I got it. In a kind of weird position, but like I said, you'll feel with your hand down here to get it on that bolt. I'm not sure how good you can see that, but right here where my pinky is wiggling, that's where that bolt is. And then I have two extensions that run to the right side, like I said, of the cat, and then you can see the top of the ratchet right there. There's no way I can film this because I'm scared to just let go, because then I'll lose the positioning. What I want to do, I have this contraption that I use my dirt bike exhaust pipe with to kind of help with leverage, and I'm just gonna undo that bolt, and once I get those unbolted, then I have all four of them loose. So I have removed all four of the bolts. The last thing you'll have to do is you'll have to get this 13 mil, the one with the spring on it. I've already loosened it, so once you get it loose, you'll be able to, hopefully, well, I thought I had it loose. You'll be up, there it goes. And of course the bracket will fall off. Hopefully I'll find that bolt, the nut fell. But this should allow you to move the cat a little out of the way. I'll use a pry bar to, of course, push it further. But now I will be moving underneath the car because I need to hook up or unhook all of the turbo outlet into the intercooler. I need to unhook the coolant and drain, or coolant and oil feeds out of the block to the turbo. Of course, I'll go a little bit in detail when I'm under there. As of now, the cat's out of the way, and I'm gonna slide underneath the car and start working on things down there. So we are underneath now, and as you can see, a lot of oil. This car has been leaking for a while, but here's the charge pipe. We'll be removing the charge pipe, and then up here is the diverter valve. The diverter valve, you have to unplug that clip, and then you'll have to remove it just to make it easier to get one of the lines off of the turbo. And then you have these two feed lines, this top one and this bottom one. Of course I can't really point, but those will need to come off the block. And then lower right here is the turbo bracket, and that bracket is going to have to come off too. And with this bracket, there's a bolt there, and then of course you see the higher bolt. So yeah, I'm gonna grab all of the tools and stuff that I need to get this started. I'll probably go ahead and take off this charge pipe just to get it out of the way, and then I will get started on getting all these lines off. That's the right tool for the job. I went ahead and got a triple square mini with the M12 on it that fits on this. Once you get this tool, getting to that banjo bolt right there in that little hole is fairly easy. Then you'll get the 13 or the M12, you'll get that off, and the bracket will be off. Dad's currently working on trying to get that clamp right there off. Once you get that clamp off, you'll be able to pull off that front coolant crossover, undo those 5 bolts and hopefully get the turbo out. So we got all the bolts out. My dad got the crossover off. We used these 2 to pry through, whatever. Point is, I can get the turbo out now, so we are gonna get that clip going. Gotta kind of finagle it out of the way. Oh boy. There we go. Bada bing, bada boom. The turbo is out of the car. Here is the old turbo out of the car, and here's the turbo out of the box. I've already seen one problem, which is this evap hose. I'm assuming that what this is. On here, looks like it's a one-time crimp tool on there, and this turbo did not come with it. Lost my orientation. Where is this? Oh, it's over on this side. This nipple right here. It does not come with that hose, so I will have to figure something out for that. But other than that, you just locate all of the feed lines and drain lines and put them back onto this turbo. The last clip, you saw the turbo go into the car. So now you may ask yourself, why is it out of the car? Well, it doesn't come with studs. So when I got the turbo back into the car, I realized I don't have a way to mount the cat onto it. So we had a whole 3-hour debacle on trying to figure out what size these studs have to be. And here's the secret. They're 3/8. 3/8-16s. They should be 1 3/4. These are 2 1/4 inch, because that's all that the auto parts store had. So yeah, we'll see. So I have gotten to the point where the only thing left to do is undo everything I just did. So reinstall everything. I am probably gonna just do this off camera because I feel like it's redundant. You just kind of gotta undo everything that I just did. So yeah, I'm gonna start by getting the cat back on. I did end up taking off the studs because I couldn't get the cat far enough back to get the flange on. I did find the gasket, so I'll put the gasket in. I'll install all 4 of those, and yeah, I will check back in when I am done with hooking up the coolant lines, the oil lines, the cat, and the bottom intercooler piping. And I will probably, yeah, I'll have to put on the air box, and then it'll be time to fill the engine back up with some oil, fill the engine back up with some coolant, and it'll be startup time. It'll be interesting. I did it off camera, but there's like an evap hose right here. It's one of those where you just lift up, you pinch the bottom and top, and of course now I can't get it to go, and then it pops off like this. It's routed through this channel underneath this rail, and then it comes out right here, and this one actually connects to that nipple. So you'll have to, I mean, in the videos it does recommend taking out the spark plugs and the rail, but I didn't do that because I'm lazy. So you can do it without this, because it does, in the video, also wants you to like undo the PCV and everything too. And I just wanted to see if you could do it without having to undo all the evap crap. So you just undo this flange down here and you have enough room to get the turbo out. So that's what I recommend doing. So the turbo is in. I only have a few things left to do. Of course, obviously, I'll have to put the air box in. But first order of business is I need to put this diverter valve back on. The turbo did come with a new one. I took it off so you can get that coolant line in, the one that's right behind the turbo. So I'm going to pop the diverter valve in. I wonder if I can do it from up here. It kind of sits underneath the turbo, so I think I'm gonna do it from below, just because the view from below is probably a lot better. I'm gonna get the diverter valve in place and I'll hop under there and show you all the little lines you need to put back in place, just to do a quick recap. Of course, I already tightened all the 5 top manifold bolts, the 4 bottom manifold bolts. The cat is in place. The cat bracket that's down there is in place. I'll show you the turbo bracket underneath that's in place. I'm gonna just hop under the car, get the diverter valve in, and I'll check back in. The underside of the Audi. I do have a lot of glare because of the sun. I'm trying to mitigate the most of that. Of course, here are your 2 oil inlet and outlet, and then right above that, you can kind of see that bolt. That is the banjo bolt for your coolant return. Of course, the diverter valve is back in place, plugged in. Same with the oil level sensors back plugged in. Here is the turbo bracket I was talking about. I was trying to attach it to this side, but it actually slips behind here, so keep that in mind. But yeah, other than that, I believe everything down here is done, and the only thing left to do is fill up fluids and put the airbox in. So I already showed the bottom side, everything's buttoned up, and of course up top here we got everything kind of back in place. There's a few things that I didn't do, like I didn't do the turbo shielding, not yet. I didn't do any of the under trays. I just filled it up with coolant, squeezed the bottom radiator hose, and we're about to try to bleed the system and hope nothing leaks. Because there was a slight amount of smoke. I'm not sure how well you can see that on camera, but there's a faint amount of smoke coming. I believe that's just the oil is burning off, I hope. We don't have any leaks so far, so I'm just waiting for the radiator fan to kick on, and then I'll top up the fluid and we should be in business. The Audi is officially, I guess, finished for the most part. The only things I didn't do is put on the under cover and put on the engine cover, because of course I want to make sure that we do not have any leaks. We can make it over here to my lovely cardboard, and you can see this sat under the car for a good 2 hours, and we just have a small oil leak, but I believe this oil leak is from the top of the valve cover, because it's been leaking there for about 50,000 miles. The main thing is there's no new coolant. This is old from yesterday, so there's no new coolant. Don't have any leaks quite yet. So if it does start leaking, I'll probably add a clip to the video. All right, so several days later, I do not have my GoPro with me because I'm at work, but as you can see, my little oil puddle at the valve cover is still reappearing. Eventually it will pop up right there too. So I'm just going to conclude that the little oil that is leaking and dripping onto the cardboard is resulting from this, because I did check all the lines yesterday. There's no oil leaking from any of the lines or the side of the block. So yeah, I'd say it's a success.